Hey everybody, today I want to show you that one guy with a little bit of confidence and a little bit of knowledge can cut up his own deer. You don't have to take it to the processor. It's fairly simple. You don't need a whole lot of equipment, and anybody can do it. I know there are tons of videos, there's thousands of videos on YouTube on how to cut up your own deer and the different cuts of meat and all that. Check out the Bearded Butchers. They have an awesome video on processing a deer. They break it down into the different cuts of meat and they do a super job. I'm not going to try to do that. I'm just going to show you how I do it. I'm not a butcher, I'm just a regular Joe, and I just want to inspire people that they can process their own job. She went about 40 yards and fell over. We didn't have any problem finding her. So we were lucky, got her in, got her skint, and the weather has been cold enough here that I was able to leave her hang, which usually in archery season that's near impossible, but I was lucky. And when I let her hang 3 days, and you can see how the meat has gotten this bright, deep, rich color, and that's perfect. That's what you're looking for. It's dry aged. It's given time for the muscle tissue to break down. It's going to be more tender and have more flavor. Now, what I thought I'd share with you today was not necessarily how to break down a deer to all the cuts, because there are thousands of videos on YouTube on how to do that. Guys that can do it much better than I can. For example, the Bearded Butchers, if you haven't seen them, check them out. They're awesome, and there's many more. But I just wanted to show you how one guy by himself with some simple tools is able to do this, to inspire you to maybe do it yourself. As I said before, you know, I'm not a trophy hunter. I hunt for meat and for the thrill of the hunt and being able to take that off the hoof, bring it in, and do everything myself. It just gives me a great sense of satisfaction that the food on my table I harvested, I processed, and I cooked. And I wanted to share that with you and show you how this isn't that hard, and anybody, even me, can do it. So stay tuned, here we go. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take his shoulder off. And like I said, I'm no expert, although I may have done this once or twice. Just follow the shoulder blade around, let it tell you where to cut, and there's the shoulder off. Shoulder. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, because I always forget it, is I'm going to slide them down here. Let's take the fish out, which is the tenderloin or the filet mignon, or the, you know, that if this was a beef, it'd be the filet mignon. Typically we call it the fish in a deer, but sometimes I get ahead of myself and I start sawing and cut this in half, and it winds up in the burger, and then I kick myself in the butt. But you can just kind of take it right out of there. Not a very big cut, but it's delicious. Okay, and we'll clean this up here in a little bit. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my handsaw and I'm going to cut this hind quarter off here. And when you're using your saw, just cut bone. Don't try to cut the meat, because you'll spend all day. There, I got a little bone I didn't get. And there we go. And now I got rib cage, hind quarter, fish, front shoulder. All right. I'm gonna run these outside, put them in the cooler so they stay colder than it is in here. Put the trimmings in. And now I'm gonna take the most famous cutout, the back strap. Quick, get all that shoulder out of there. That's okay. Okay, now I'm just following the ribs. I'm gonna get her down here to the hip bone. I'm gonna just start pulling on this a little bit, and I can pull this most of the way out of here. Just like that. Oops. There. I don't know if you saw all that, but got her out. Now obviously I don't need cleaned up, and we'll get to that. But right now I'm going to start hacking up some meat for our sausage we're going to make here in a little bit. So this is a flank. See here, I'm going to get all this gooky stuff out. That's where the iron came out. I'm just going to toss it. I'm not even going to fool with it. Okay. I did the rib cage and the front shoulder in this half. I did not, I didn't film the front shoulder in this half because the iron went through it and it was pretty messed up. I had to throw a good bit of it out. But here we go with the hind quarter. And what I'm doing with this is a lot of it's going into sausage, but I think I'm going to can a little bit of it too. So I'm going to get another pot out, put the canning meat in, keep it separate from the burger meat. I'll cut the canned meat a little bit smaller, more bite-sized pieces. So here we go. First I'm going to take this hip. Now there's a joint here and you can get this with a knife. I don't know if I can or not. I don't know if I'm that good. The bearded butchers, they get her with a knife. You can find the ball joint and get a little pressure there, a little pressure, and come around here and just kind of down into there. And I'm probably just gonna quit screwing around and get the saw, because I have a saw. If you don't have a saw, cut her right there, dig around there, get that hip bone. There's nothing the matter with that. And now I'm gonna fight with it. And there we go. little bit of elbow grease, but not too much. Don't tell me. There we go. All right. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, so I'm going to find there's a joint right here. And I don't have enough knife to get through that, so I'm going to cut it. Burger can of meat's in here. Now there's like 4 or 5 cuts of meat in here. There's the top round, the eye round. I don't know what else. Sirloin, some type of sirloin, but I don't ever break it into those pieces. If I'm gonna make a roast out of this, I generally take the whole thing and make a roast. Typically though, I make a neck roast or a shoulder roast if I'm doing a roast. And right now I'm just going to take this bone out of here. Just get it out of the road. Makes it easier to work on stuff. Now if you're gonna boil bones, this is one of the bones you want to boil. This has got marrow in it, and they say it's a little bit of flavor. I don't know about all that. I found they don't have much flavor because they're venison, and venison is so lean. But if you truly want to get every morsel out of your deer, well, I have at it. Alright, I want to show you guys something. Right there, that's Mr. Chico in his resting position. Alright, I'm going to show you what happens when I go get the other half a deer. Alright, here goes Chico. Alright, did you see what happened? He sneaks us into the bone bucket when I'm not looking. Alright, I'm gonna knock this out. We're into it about, I don't know, half an hour. So I'm gonna knock this out so we can get making some sausage. I'll be back. Okay, as promised, here's the other front shoulder. I'm just gonna pop this out quick. See this big hunk of fat here? And a little bit of meat. See that? That's a gland. And we're just going to take that whole thing and chuck it. Alright. You can do a roast out of this. You can cut out the gridiron steak. Watch the bearded butchers. They do that. I'm not fooling with it. You can do what I'm going to do and make it into grinding meat for sausage. So there's a shoulder blade in here, and there's a bone that sticks up. And you kind of do one of these numbers. And I like to go down to the bone and get as big a hunk of meat off as I can. And I'll set it aside and I'll cut it up later. Right now we're just getting this meat off the bone. And see how that shoulder blade is there. Some meat on the back side. It's pretty nice here. We're going to take off. Better cut him again. Sometimes it's tough to get that bit. It's down on the bone. That's why I like to go to the bone. Seems to be a little easier to get it then. Off in a big hunk. Alright, get this front here. It'll come up like this. I always like to add a little pork to my sausage, to my venison sausage. So I went to the store and I found, looking for some nice fatty pork, I found these petite shoulder roasts on sale for $2.49 a pound. So I got 3 of them. And I'm just going to chunk them up to get through the grinder. Alright, I got all my meat weighed out here. 10. Alright. And then the rest of this is going to be burger. So that I'm going to make some sweet sausage, some hot sausage, and some country style breakfast sausage. I put my grinder parts in the freezer to make sure they're good and cold, to help keep the meat cold while we're doing this. We want to try to keep everything as cold as possible. Alright, so here we go. Got it all roughed around. The first go we're going to make is mild country sausage. Now, this seasoning I get at the local Amish store, and it's already pre-measured for 10 pounds. It's delicious, and there's no MSGs or any weird chemicals or anything like that. So it's really good. We just sprinkle her on top there, and now we're going to get to mixing. You just want to kind of knead it like you're kneading dough. So we're looking to get not only the seasoning incorporated, but we're really looking to mix up that pork and that venison. You can do this in a large bowl. They make commercial meat mixers. They make meat mixers for my grinder, but it's $250 and only does 5 pounds at a time. I like to just spread it out here on the cutting board and working in. Alright, I'm just wrapping things up here. I wound out with about 57 pounds of meat off that dough. I made 30 pounds of sausage. I'm bagging up here some sausage I ran out of casings for. So all in all, that's a pretty good day. All I have to do now is vacuum seal this up. I'm going to cut the sausage rings into lengths, and I'll bag them up and freeze them and call it a day. So, see, anybody can do it, even me. If I can do it, anybody can. Alright, so give it a try next time you get a deer. Good luck, everybody. Stay safe out there in the woods. So that's it. It's that easy. Anybody can cut their own deer up. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some confidence. You don't have to be perfect. If you mess up, don't worry about it. Keep on trucking. Important thing is not to cut your fingers. Alright, so everybody take care and God bless.